Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamunati Ravanachari Yamunati Yamunati Ravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Chagana Jaya, Chagana Jaya, Baladev Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Hari 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 Bol. Wow, das da ist da. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Und Johannes, kennst du? O Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stottara Shata Shishrimad His Divine Grace Shila Esi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, chapter 29, text 84 and 85. And I just read 84 and then we can recite 85 because yesterday we skipped the Srimad Bhagavatam verse where we had Advaita Acharya's appearance day. Etan mukunda yashasa bhuvanam punanam. Etan mukunda yashasa bhuvanam punanam. Sorry. Etan mukunda yashasa bhuvanam punanam. Devar shivarya mukha nisritam atma shocham. Yakirtyamanam adigacchati parameshtyam. Nasmin bhave brahmati mukta samasta bandha. Translation. This narration, spoken by the great sage Narada, is full of the transcendental fame of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, this narration, when described, certainly sanctifies this material world. It purifies the heart of the living entity and helps him attain his spiritual identity. One who relates this transcendental narration will be liberated from all material bondage and will no longer have to wander within this material world. I was just looking for an Adi Gaurangi and also Astor actually. That's like an advertisement to give Bhagavatam class. If you do this service, then you get liberated. And everybody else who I asked and didn't want to give class. Purport. As indicated in verse 79, Narada Muni advised King Prajinabarhi to take to devotional service rather than waste time performing ritualistic ceremonies and fruitive activities. The vivid description of the subtle and gross bodies in this chapter are most scientific. And because they are given by the great sage Narada, they are authoritative. Because these narrations are full of the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they constitute the most effective process for the purification of the mind. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirmed, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. The more we talk of Krishna, think of Krishna, and preach for Krishna, the more we become purified. This means we no longer have to accept a hallucinatory, gross and subtle body, but instead attain our spiritual identity. One who tries to understand this instructive spiritual knowledge is delivered from this ocean of nescience. The word Parameshtyam is very significant in this connection. Parameshtyam is also called Brahmaloka. It is the planet on which Lord Brahma lives. The inhabitants of Brahmaloka always discuss such narrations so that after the annihilation of the material world, they can be directly transferred to the spiritual world. One who is transferred to the spiritual world does not have to go up and down within this material world. Sometimes spiritual activities are also called Parameshtyam. And then 85 we can recite together. Adhyatma parokshyamidang. Adhyatma parokshyamidang. Mayadhigatam Mayadhigatam Evang striyashrama pungsash Evang striyashrama pungsash Chinnamutrana sangshayaha Chinnamutran cha sangshayaha Adhyatma parokshamidang Mayadhigatang puta adputam Evang striyashrama pungsash Chinnamutra cha sangshayaha. Please recite.
Evam Shriya Shrama Pumsash Chinomutra Cha Samshaya Chinomutra Cha Samshaya Adhyatma Parashyam Idam Adhyatma Parashyam Idam Mayadhyatam Abhuttam Mayadhyatam Abhuttam Evam Shriya Shrama Evam Shriya Shrama Pumsash Chinomutra Cha Samshaya Chinomutra Cha Samshaya Adhyatma Parashyam Adhyatma Parashyam Idam Mayadhyatam Adbhutam Evam Shriya Shrama Pumsash Evam Shriya Shrama Pumsash Chinomutra Cha Samshaya. Chinomutra cha samsaya Adhyatma paroksham Mayadim gatam adbhutam Evam shriya shrama pumshas Chinomutra cha samshaya
Word for word translation, Adhyatma, spiritual. Paroksham, described by authority. Idam, this. Maya, by me. Adhigatam, heard. Adbhutam, wonderful. Evam, thus. Striya, with a wife. Ashramaha, shelter. Pungsaha, of the living entity. Chinnaha, finished. Amutra, about life after death. Cha, also. Sangshayaha, doubt. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The allegory of King Puranjana, described herein according to authority, was heard by me from my spiritual master, and it is full of spiritual knowledge. If one can understand the purpose of this allegory, he will certainly be relieved from the bodily conception and will clearly understand life after death. Although one may not understand what transmigration of the soul actually is, one can fully understand it by studying this narration. Purport. The word striya, meaning along with the wife, is significant. The male and female living together constitute the sum and substance of material existence. The attraction between male and female in this material world is very strong. In all species of life, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of existence. The same principle of intermingling is also in human society, but is in a regulative form. Material existence means living together as male and female and being attracted by one another. However, when one fully understands spiritual life, his attraction for the opposite sex is completely vanquished. By such attraction, one becomes overly attached to this material world. It is a hard knot within the heart. Pungsa striya mituni bhavang etang. Tayor mitori daya granting ahu. Atto griya kshetra sutapta vitair. Janasya mohoyang ahang mameti. Everyone comes to this material world attracted to sense gratification. And the hard knot of sense gratification is the attraction between male and female. By this attraction, one becomes overly attached to the material world in terms of kriya, kshetra, sutta, apta, vitta. That is home, land, children, friends, money, and so forth. Thus one becomes entangled in the bodily conception of I and mine. However, if one understands the story of King Puranjana and understands how, by sexual attraction, Puranjana became a female in his next life, one will also understand the process of transmigration. Okay. Special note. According to Vijayadvaj Tirtha, who belongs to the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, the first two of the following verses, that refers to the other verses. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitang Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurung Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tangscha Shivam Satvahitang Savadutang Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarupescha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Pashyatadeshata. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we are coming to an end of the pastime of King Puranjana, which has been stretching over. Has been stretching over a few chapters. Just have a look. 25, 29. So 4 chapters about this pastime, and now it's coming to an end. And this is actually the last verse of this chapter. And then there comes 2 special verses. Sorry, this is quite unusual. I'm seeing this for the first time in Bhagavatam, and here's also a special note. Let me just read the note now because I'm interested. According to Vijayadvaj Tirtha, who belongs to the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, the first 2 of the following verses appear after verse 45 of this chapter. And the remaining 2 verses appear after verse 79. I don't know why they come in the end. Now there comes, and these verses who come now afterwards, they are called, the number of these verses is 1a and 2a and 1b.
Maybe in another Sampradaya orders.
I don't know. Would be interesting to find out. Anyway, so in this, that's a very common thing that in the Vedas, often after a section comes to an end, then there will be mentioned the Phala Shruti. Has anyone heard of the word Phala Shruti? Yeah, I was expecting that the deity say something. Phala Shruti, Phala means the fruit, and Shruti means listening. So the fruit you get for listening. So now we had the Phala Shruti, which is So one who we heard not the Phala Shruti, but the Phala Kirtan. The one who speaks, he will be one who relates this transcendental narration will be liberated from all material bondage and will no longer have to wander within this material world. So whoever has given a class in this section, that's I'm not sure if we have to recite the whole thing or if a few verses is enough. And then here, in the verse we had on the board, it says, one can be relieved from the bodily conception and will clearly understand life after death. Although one may not understand what transmigration of the soul actually is, one can fully understand it by studying this narration. So that's the Phala Shruti, Shruti Phala Shruti. And yeah, that's happening in the Vedas. They try to inspire the listener, because the listener might not always be on the highest perfectional stage. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Shishi Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. If one listens to Srimad Bhagavatam in pure devotional service, then I don't need anything, I'm just happy to listen. Yesterday, Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, he told me that he was listening to a class of Amarendra Prabhu, and Amarendra Prabhu was mentioning how somebody asked his guru, how much Srimad Bhagavatam do you read? Because his guru is also very famous for speaking Bhagavatam very nicely. And his guru immediately returned, he said, I'm not reading Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm relishing Srimad Bhagavatam. So the point, that on the pure stage we are just relishing Srimad Bhagavatam. And we actually relish every single word of Srimad Bhagavatam on the pure stage. It's not that only when I go to the 10th canto, to the chapter where Krishna meets the gopis in the forest, then I'm relishing, and otherwise I'm not relishing. No, a pure devotee, he relishes every single word. Sometimes we come to a section of Bhagavatam where we hear the genealogical table of the dynasties. This is a very boring part for many, isn't it? It's like, oh, Krishna. Anyway, let's just go through it, and many, they just skip it and go directly to the next chapter because it's just names. But for a pure devotee, this is not boring. It's actually full of nectar. And why? Because a pure devotee, he's premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. His eyes, whatever he sees, whatever he hears, whatever he experiences, he sees Krishna. So when he hears about King such and such from this dynasty, he can immediately relate it to Krishna. That's a very special feature of the pure devotee, that whatever he experiences, he relates to Krishna. In the Bhagavatam there is also the section describing the creation, and also that's for some devotees a very boring part. The Sankhya philosophy is described, the elements and very technical knowledge, and also this is very relishable for the pure devotee. They like to hear it. And it is said that the Bhagavatam the Bhagavatam is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we hear how the Bhagavatam, the cantos represent different bodily parts of the Lord. So the feet, then the legs, and slowly it comes upward. And then what is the most important part of the body? The head, no? And which canto is the head? The 10th canto, the 10th. That's really where you get to see the person, Krishna. Oops. And it is said, in order to understand, or to give a analogy, how can the pure devotee relate everything to Krishna? It's like when I see the feet of Johannes, I can always relate it to his face, no? I can, every part of his body, I can somehow I cannot see it actually separated from Johannes. I can only see it in connection to Johannes. Because I'm having the full experience of Johannes, and if I look at the knee, it's impossible for me to isolate the knee from the rest of Johannes, especially his face. So that should show us that actually for the pure devotee he's relishing Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's relishing every part, every single word. But then there is this Shruti Phala, and sometimes we hear these Shruti Phalas and we might wonder, is it actually true? Like, it sounds so simple, no? You just recite that, and he purifies the heart and has one who transcends this narration will be liberated from all material bondage. And then we sometimes, we do that, or we hear this also, you just take initiation and your material life is finished. You take one time prasadam, and we hear all these things, and then we see the reality, or let's say not the reality, what we experience, because the reality and what we experience is different. And we start to wonder, actually, this cannot be. No, you see so many people come, take prasadam, and then they go out and never come back. You see devotees taking initiation and they leave. So then you wonder, how come we hear all these things? But actually all these things are true. The only problem is we, as a conditioned living entity, we have a very, very limited vision of things. We always see a very small fraction of the whole, and we think we experience reality, but actually it's not. And also, one important thing, it doesn't say when it will happen completely. So like when Srila Prabhupada said, one who takes one Gulab Jamun, or whatever, simply wonderful, his material life is finished. But that doesn't really, it doesn't mean immediately. It means it's finished. One day, now he's on the way to Krishna, it's too late, and it's just a matter of time. And the pure devotee especially also says, because he has a very different vision. Because again, one thing which is very interesting is, the more a living entity becomes conditioned, the more narrow becomes his lifespan and his understanding of life. Like, we as human beings, we live for 100 years maximum, mostly less. And we think it's a very long time. And then you see the ant, who lives for, how long lives an ant? I don't know, maybe a few days or so. And it thinks it's a very long life. And then you go higher. You have the demigods, and they live for longer, and they think, wow, it's very long. And then you go to Brahma, and but in relation to eternity, it's a very short span of time. And that's why the pure devotees, when somebody takes prasadam today, then they say, he's liberated. Because in the view of eternity, it's over now, it's maybe 1, 2, 3 more lives, and then the person is perfect. Yeah, so that's an inspiring thing for us also, that we are on the way. Now the only thing is we have to stay on the path. And Prabhupada here, he writes about he explains that what is said in this verse, that when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam we get purified, is actually the process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that the heart gets purified by hearing. And in the verse we've recited, wow, it's almost over, nice, we heard about what actually has to be overcome in order to really become liberated and then attain pure devotional service. And Prabhupada, in this purport, I was reading it and I noticed that Prabhupada made one point 3 times in this purport, and I'm going to read it to you, just so that we know whenever something is mentioned 3 times, it is very important. And I'm going to read these 3 things to you now. First time, the male and female living together constitute the sum and substance of material existence. Now the second, in all species of life, the attraction between male and female is the basic principle of existence. And now the third. Everyone comes to this material world attracted to sense gratification, and the hard knot of sense gratification is the attraction between male and female. So he wanted to make sure that we understand what is our problem. Our problem is that we are lusty, and especially we are the attraction between male-female, meaning the man attracted to the woman attracted to the man, the desire for sex, and all what comes with it. Because we understand it's not only the sex itself, but it's the whole expansion. Griha, Kshetra, Sutta, Apta, Vita, home, land, children, friends, money, and so forth. Actually, everything which exists in this material world is here because of this principle, sex, desire. And Prabhupada makes the point that we have to overcome it, and he also says how we can overcome it. He says, however, when one fully understands spiritual life, his attraction for the opposite sex is completely vanquished. You know, there's many people who practice spiritual life, and one example that came to my mind from Bhagavatam is Sobari Muni. Sobari Muni was a sage who was performing very heavy tapasya in Vrindavan. And you can go to Vrindavan, to that place, it's a lake, and Sobari Muni, he was so advanced that he would sit underneath the water for hundreds of years meditating, and he of course he was not breathing, because on the water you cannot breathe. So he was a yogi who perfected these mystic abilities, and he was sitting there meditating, and what happened to him? He saw a male and a female fish mating, and he became agitated. Somehow or other, seeing the fish in sexual pleasure, the desire within him became aroused, and he thought, oh, I also want to enjoy. And he went out of the water and he got married to, how many? Somebody remembers? He basically married all daughters of one king, and these were like 99 daughters. So not only did he not he was not successful, but he went in the complete other extreme. Usually that's what actually happens if it's artificial, and he was enjoying, and of course after some time, by Krishna's mercy, he came to the realization, what am I doing here? And he again detached. But the point is that we cannot overcome this attraction for the opposite sex, for material sense gratification by renunciation alone. And Prabhupada says how it's possible. It's possible by developing a higher taste. And he especially mentions by fully understanding spiritual life. Another example that is very very good in this connection is Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj, he was the emperor of the whole world, and he left his duty as a king, and he went to the forest to meditate. And it's described, Bharat, he had so much opulence, he had so much power, he had, I don't know how many women, but definitely very beautiful wife and children, and he had everything what you actually can desire. And it's described, he left it behind like stool. Like if you go to the toilet and you pass stool, and that's how he left it. He was so detached, like, when you go to the toilet and you pass stool, it's not you think about what should I do now, or do I like it? No, it's just, let's go. So, Bhagavatam always speaks the truth. Bharat was in that consciousness. He was so, not in a negative sense. We don't try to condemn, but meaning he could understand this is just matter. It's not really touching his soul. It's not making him, giving him any happiness. But then he got attached to a deer. So somehow or other he was not, and it's described because he was not yet on this Premanjana, Churita Bhakti Vilojanena. The deer somehow distracted him from Krishna. And he was not yet fully perfect, but then after he was perfect. So we have to understand that the only solution is to become fully, like Prabhupada says, to fully understand spiritual life. And as he said in the previous purport, this means we no longer have to accept the hallucinatory gross and subtle body, but instead attain our spiritual identity. And I just, as a last point, I want to mention that I feel we should be very carefully reading the scriptures and meditate about these things, like, what does it actually mean for me to attain my spiritual identity? It's a very deep thing, if you think about that you have an identity now. Johannes, I like to take you again. You are Johannes. No, you from Germany, and now at the moment you're here, and you like this kind of prasad, and you have an identity, that's who you are. But actually, that's not you. But you have an identity, but you don't know that identity. You don't know your identity. You're basically mad. Like we are all mad. We don't know who we are. It's crazy, no? We don't know who we are. Actually, I have a name, I have a form, I have an activity, I have a place where I stay, I have a relationship, I have all these things in my identity, but I don't know anything. I mean, we know a little bit theoretically that somewhere in Goloka Vrindavan. And this is like the depth of that statement. Hey, that's what, and that means to fully understand spiritual life, to fully understand who I am. Because then my relationship with Krishna is completely real. I will see him face to face. I can talk to him. I can touch him. I can serve him directly every second. It's not a theory. It's very... And for this can be realized in this body only. In this life. There is no obstacle. We have all what we need. We just have to be very sincere. So to summarize again, that we hear about the full, the Phala Shruti, and it's nice. We're getting inspired by hearing that, and actually it's real. Even we sometimes don't see how, when we read this Bhagavatam what is actually happening with us. Sometimes we're not fully aware, but it's happening. And by continuing in this process of hearing and chanting Chetodarpana Marjanam, then slowly our identity will be revealed. It will be revealed. We will actually come to the point where we know who we are. And then we are completely free from this Maituna Agara, the prison house of sex desire. So, and then we are perfect. Then we can go to the spiritual world and again live real life and leave behind this kind of very strange stage performance which we are doing for a long, long time, changing our roles. And yeah, so thank you for your attention. If you have any comments, questions. Yes, look upon me, Mataji.
I just remembered there's a story in Gita Mahatmya how I don't know, it was a bird that fell into a skull of water and drowned and died, right? And actually the skull was from a person who was relishing Bhagavad Gita. And because it was a pure devotee, I guess, or because just this matter had contact with the Bhagavad Gita, the bird got liberated. So just remember that. So that's also like, wow. I mean, yeah. I also don't understand sometimes how it works.
Yeah.
So.
But I think it's important to have faith in these things. And if we question these statements, to really go deep and try to understand it on a different level. Because when we read and we have a doubt and we just, you know what sometimes happens, we in German we say unter den Teppich wischen. We just brush it under the carpet. So at one point a lot of dust will be there and it might become a problem. Meaning that the doubts should be dealt with. So why is it saying like that? And because then we lose the faith in other statements of the Bhagavatam. We might not notice this consciously, but unconsciously it happens. And so much so that we don't take up the Bhagavatam at all, because we feel maybe it's a lot of fiction and mythology. So thank you. Also Prahlad Maharaj, how he attained perfection. It's a very amazing story. How he was with his girlfriend, with his wife in his previous life. He had a rendezvous with his wife in the night, and they started to fight. And they had the rendezvous in an old Nishingadev temple. And it just happened to be Ekadashi, and because they were fighting the whole night, they didn't sleep and they didn't eat. So they got all this sukriti that they were fasting and staying awake in a holy place on Ekadashi. And so he became Prahlad Maharaj later. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur
Клин, темпл.
Потому что класс идет, правда? Нужно равно брать.
15 минут.
А?
15 минут.
Я читаю, сейчас переодеваюсь и иду сюда.
She can go also around me. I mean, I was also playing the temple.
Before children class.
When is the children class?
А у вас какой children class?
Он в 10, но мне до 10 нужно все убрать.
Start children class.
Ten. Okay, I'll be like, I just need to practice something like that.
Прасад поставил, ты вот это толстое, не толстое вещь.
Ага. Спасибо.
И как Капиладева описывает бхакти-йогу? Вчера вечером
Слушай, может лучше шкаф на
в
полку,
предыдущем стихе.
потому что там забрать можно.
Хорошо.
Это тот, кто, для кого Кришна или Верховная Личность Бога самый дорогой. Нет никого дороже. Он дороже всего.